It's not what you think. I'm going to tell you a story that was kept secret for more than 40 years. Well, this is very common in Brazilian culture. We have tons of buildings like this all over the country. But let me tell you about one in particular. This story really happened, and I had access to some pretty shocking evidence. So strap yourself in, because this is one of the scariest stories I've ever covered. This is gonna be one of the darkest videos I've ever made. This is an old building in downtown São Paulo, Brazil. It was originally built in the 1940s, and up until the late 80s, it was used as a psychiatric hospital. Nowadays, it's just some offices. But there's one place inside that people don't talk about. They call it the silent room. Nobody knows what happened there, but many people claim they can hear screams and cries echoing through the halls. Today, we're going to find out what secrets this place is hiding. Let's go. Welcome to this house. Built in 1941, the building started out as a psychiatric hospital. Back then, mental health treatment was kind of brutal. There was a lot of electroconvulsive therapy, lobotomies, hydrotherapy, things like that. And the most disturbing thing was that patients were locked up in solitary confinement for punishment. The worst part is that nobody knows exactly what happened in those rooms. But before we get to the scariest parts, let me just show you around the building. I'm sure you've noticed how empty it looks. This is because my team and I visited during the day and all the employees were at work. In the daytime, the building feels very normal. But at night, things change dramatically. Here's one of the scariest images I found from the hospital's past. This is an actual photo taken in the 1970s. It's a padded room with leather restraints. They would put patients in here, then sedate them with medication and straitjacket them with leather straps so they couldn't hurt themselves. And right next to it, there's another room with a bed, but no patients. Oh wait, there he is. He's laying down right there on the floor. Now, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but that person isn't breathing and their eyes are wide open. I don't know what's going on here, but this image really gave me the heebie-jeebies. The craziest thing about this building is that everybody seems to forget about the padded rooms and the violent history. Everybody talks about this one room. It's called the silent room. People say if you walk by the door, you can hear screams in there, even though it's empty. The room has been locked up for 30 years and nobody knows what's in there. People also say you can hear chains dragging metal moans. Some people say the door opens by itself. Others say they see shadows moving around in there. I spoke to former employees and patients who were committed here in the 1980s. One of them said, "I worked at the hospital in the 1980s and I never felt anything strange until one day. I was walking alone in the corridors when I heard someone crying like a woman who was in great pain. But I looked everywhere and there was no one there. After that day, I always avoided that place and I didn't want to work there anymore." Now, there are different theories about what's going on in there. Maybe it's the spirit of a patient who died there a long time ago and is still stuck in the building. Maybe it's residual energy from all the bad things that happened there, or maybe it's something else. I don't know. But the former director of the hospital said that one time they tried to open the room and something scary happened. In 2006, a group of paranormal investigators went to the hospital to research these claims. The team consisted of 3 men, one of whom had experience opening seances. When they got closer to the door, it started to shake violently. They pushed it open and entered the room, but they couldn't see anything in the pitch-black darkness. One of the investigators used a lighter to see better, and when they shined the light around the room, they saw a white mist. That's when they heard a voice that said, "Don't come in." Now, here's what I find interesting about this story. You don't often hear about ghosts in Brazil. I'm not saying they don't exist. Of course they do. But in Brazilian culture, we prefer to believe that ghosts are just souls that haven't moved on yet. That's why they're stuck here on Earth. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. Most of the time, ghosts are viewed as benevolent spirits. They might shake a table or move an object, but they're not trying to harm us. But this ghost was definitely malicious. So what could have happened in that room to create such a violent entity? We don't know. But let's think about the possibilities. Do you think it's possible that a spirit got trapped in that room? Or do you think it's just a case of residual energy? So we know that there were horrible things done in here, but the question is, how could this affect ghosts? According to paranormal researchers, residual energy is basically an imprint of events that happened in a certain place. For example, when you watch a home video, you're watching a residual recording of the past. In a way, ghosts are kind of like that. Ghosts are impressions left in our physical world by living beings. Think about a glass that falls off a table. People sometimes say a ghost must have knocked it over, but what they don't realize is that it's really just residual energy. Objects don't fall by themselves. Every action has a reaction. So instead of blaming it on a ghost, we should look for other possible causes. So in the case of the silent room, we don't know what happened in there. It could be the residual energy from all the patients who were tortured here, or it could be the soul of a specific patient who is seeking revenge. And just to make things more dramatic, one investigator said he felt something brush against his leg as he entered the room. When he turned the light on, he saw nothing. Another investigator felt a cold spot on his neck. They also recorded audio in the room and later on listened back to it. And this is what they heard. They heard whispers and voices saying things like, "Help me, get away, and don't come in." But the scariest thing was the sound of dragging chains. I don't know about you, but if I were in that room, I would totally freak out. This brings me to the question, does the ghost want to harm us or does it just want to communicate? Well, here's what I think. If a spirit is trying to warn us, then I think it's just trying to scare us. It doesn't want to harm us. But if we ignore it, then it will continue to haunt us. But if we pay attention and try to understand what it's trying to say, then I think we can help it move on. You see, when a spirit is haunting us, it's probably because it needs something from us. But if we take the time to listen, then we can help it. So let me ask you, was it just an urban legend, or did something truly remain behind? What do you think? I would love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. And if you love chilling true stories, hit subscribe and turn on notifications because we have new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye.